Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Adora, and if you're just joining us on this channel for the first time, thank you very much for stopping by. So I saw a post recently on Facebook, and there was a question there pointed out to the public. It was actually asking everyone, why is divorce so much on the increase these days? Now, I sat down and I began to think of that question, and a lot of things came through my mind. Honestly speaking, yes, it's not like divorce has not been there from the beginning. No. There has always been this issue of divorce. People have been divorcing right from time immemorial. Marriages have been breaking up. People have been going their separate ways. But it just seems to be very, very common now. And I ask, is it because of social media? Is it because of the internet? That's what is actually making us see that these things are actually happening. And maybe because back in the days there was no internet, there was no social media, so there was no way to actually bring these things out to the public. Well, yes, the social media has actually made us to know that a lot of things are happening, and divorce is one of them. Now, if I may throw in my 2 cents, why is divorce so much on the increase? Well, yes, divorce has become a kind of trending topic these days because people are doing it without a care in the world. Like, they're doing it without really looking back. They are doing it without thinking. They are doing it without having a second thought. They're doing it like they don't care. And you know what? A lot of people actually do not care anymore. Now, when it comes to women and divorce, people are usually, the society is always very, very fast to point accusing fingers to women. They're very, very fast to say, oh, the woman decided to leave her marriage because she's interested in the outside world, because she has not seen life finish, because she still has her eyes out there, because she still wants to enjoy herself and all of that. But there's some deep questions that we need to ask ourselves before anybody in his or her right senses gets into marriage. Do you think anybody actually gets into marriage with the intention of living soon after? Like, why would you want to go through all of that stress? You go through all of the courtship, you now get into marriage, you go through all of that. You now still go through childbearing, raising kids, providing for your home as the man, doing what you should do to keep the home functional. And all of a sudden, you just wake up one day and decide you want to walk away. I don't think any normal human being in his or her right senses would want to do that. So sometimes when this issue of divorce crops up, we should just look beyond the idea of, oh, the person has his eyes out there, or the person has her eyes out there, that's why they opted for divorce. Let's ask ourselves different questions. Why did the person actually decide to take a walk? Now, when it comes to women, we've seen that women who divorce their husbands are usually like the society frowns at them. Like, how dare you leave your marriage? How dare you move? How dare you? And sometimes, even when the woman is explaining, giving her reasons for what she did, people are usually like frowning at her. Is it because of that little thing? Is it because of that? Why can't you wait? You should be patient. You should, that's not enough for you to leave your home and all of that. And sometimes they try to even blackmail a woman into making her believe that, you already have kids with the man. Why will you leave your children and just go like that? Or you've already had something with this man, so why would you just want to walk away like that? Like, it doesn't make sense, without finding out how exactly she feels. What exactly led to her leaving or wanting a divorce? What exactly happened that brought her this far? Like, they don't really ask these questions because they believe you don't even have a right to leave. Whatever happens, just take the hit. And we've seen cases where women left their homes, their marriages as a result of a cheating husband. And when she eventually leaves, some people are very fast to ask, why did she leave? Is it just because the man is cheating? How can you allow a side chick break your home and you take a walk? You're supposed to fight for your marriage. You're supposed to fight for your home. Now, let me bring your attention to this. A lot of women, married women, have been fighting for their marriages. A lot of women have been trying to protect their homes. How do they do this? A lot of women pray. They pray so much. When you go to churches and you see the church is filled up, majority of the people you see in churches are women. Either they are praying to have a husband, that's for the single ones, or the married ones are praying for God to protect their homes, for God to bless their husbands, for God to intervene in their marital situations. I have discussed and I have seen a lot of women, and if you ask them their number one prayer point, is always about whom? About their marriage, about their husbands, about their children. That is what they place as priority. So that is one way they are fighting for their homes. They are fighting through the spiritual means. Another way some women fight for homes is that maybe when they discover that, oh, somebody is a strange woman out there trying to interfere in their marriages. Some of these married women, they go out of their way to go and confront the strange women. That one, definitely, I don't even support it. I don't encourage it, because we've also seen stories where married women tried to confront their husband's side chicks, and what they got from it was brutal. There was this particular story of a woman. This one happened in Calabar, Nigeria, some years back. She was in her car and I think she went to the shopping center and she saw her husband with another girl in the car. They went shopping and she already knew that this was her husband's side chick. So she was in her car, she was running after the man, driving behind the man, chasing him, and the man knew that her husband, that his wife was right behind him. He knew because he had already seen her. And this man, in order, to avoid a scene, he didn't want a situation whereby he would have to stop and the wife would start attacking the side chick and all of that. So he drove very fast and the woman drove after him. And what happened after that was a brutal accident. The woman had an accident and died on the spot. Now she lost her life. This is one of the stories we have heard. We heard or we saw it because it came out on the social media space. There are issues like this where women fight for their homes and we don't even know about it. And it's a lot of a lot of rubbish happens. Things that happen, they take their lives. Some of them, even when their lives are not taken, it takes their health. A lot of women have gone through worse situations, terrible situations, just because they were trying to protect their homes. There was this story I heard about a woman. She knew her husband was cheating on her. So what did she do? She tried to talk to the husband. Each time she talks to the husband will be sober, he will kneel down, he will apologize, the woman will forgive him. After a while, the man will go back to his old ways, go chasing this. And funny enough, they always go after the same person. And when this man, when you know that your husband or your fiancé or whatever keeps chasing, or rather keeps flirting with the same woman over and over again, even after you know and you've caught him and he apologizes, blah, 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 just know he's hooked to that woman. It's going to take the grace of God for him to leave the woman, because there is something that keeps making him go back to her. And now, this particular woman knew her husband was a serial cheat. She knew that this man it was getting too much. She now let this whole idea of her husband cheats on her to weigh her down. She kept thinking, emotionally she was drained, psychologically she was weak, because she was always thinking it was affecting her mental health. And before we knew what was happening, her health started to decline. And all of a sudden, this woman fell really sick. She got really, really sick that she had to be admitted for mental health issues. So what we're talking about, women go through a lot when it comes to fighting to keep their homes, when it comes to trying to protect their marriages, when it comes to trying to make sure there is no third party involved in their homes. And when they take it, and after a while they can't take it anymore, they now feel like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done treating infections. I'm done having to fight over issues like this with a fellow woman. I'm done being embarrassed. I'm done being disgraced. I'm done being taken for granted. I need to take a walk. The moment she says that all hell is let loose. You see that period when she's fighting for her husband, when she's doing things to make sure that the man comes back to his senses, comes back home, when she's trying to make sure that nobody breaks her family, breaks her home, breaks her marriage, nobody talks. You hardly hear people come out in her defense to say, oh, but why are you treating this woman like this? See, she's going through a lot. Why don't you just stick to your marriage? You hardly hear people come to defend the woman and say things like, but you can see this woman is going through a lot. Why don't you just, what did you see in that other woman outside that your wife wasn't have? You hardly hear all of this. But the moment the woman makes up her mind on what she has to do next, everybody comes shouting, why did you leave your husband? Because he's cheating. Because you already have interest outside. Is it enough reason to leave your husband? And blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't understand it when people are trying to commonize cheating. They're trying to normalize it. They're trying to make it look like it's not a big deal. Really, if you know the extent to which cheating can break anybody, be it a man or a woman, if you know the level of like emotional torture, trauma you put your partner through when they discover that you are not being truthful to them, when they discover that you were cheating on them, when they discover that you could easily infect them. You know what it is to be moving around with infections that you don't even know how deadly these infections are. You don't even know how severe some of these infections are. You don't even know, like, each time you keep, do you know how, like, there is a, I don't even know. I'm trying to pinpoint the advantages, the pros of cheating, and I can't see. I really don't see. So when I see people who cheat on their spouses, I'm trying to understand, is it that 5 minutes of fun you have that is it, like, is that the reason? Is that enough to break what you have? Is that enough to, like, I'm trying to really place my hands on it and I'm not getting it. So when this idea of divorce comes out, it's because a lot of people don't want to accept that you cannot tolerate my nonsense. You have to tolerate my nonsense. How dare you divorce me? Like, why? Why should you wake up? But you've forgotten that the person you were cheating on is human and has blood running in their veins. You forgot that the person you were cheating on right from the beginning, I'm sure you must have even promised heaven and earth to be with you for better, for worse, and all of that. And after a while, you break those promises. Because, of course, many of these promises we make on the altars in the name of marriage, white wedding, court wedding, a lot of us know that they are just, it's just mere formalities. It's just, let's just say it because it's part of the program, not because you really mean it. So the idea of divorce is not something one should take for granted. You should look into it very well because a lot is happening behind closed doors. Now, when it comes to the abroad context, to the Western context, like especially our Black people, our African women that come into come abroad, come to the Western world, like our Black African immigrants that come down here, people are very fast to say, oh, once she gets there, she will divorce her husband. Once she gets there, that's it, the marriage is broken and all of that. Now, a lot of things could lead to divorce, especially here abroad. In fact, I think this idea of divorce, especially here abroad, is one topic that has been trending recently, and people always point fingers to, oh, because she's abroad, she thinks she can do whatever she likes. These are things she can't do in Nigeria. These are things she can't do in Ghana. These are things she can't do in Cameroon and all of that. But because she has found herself here, she now thinks it's an opportunity to misbehave. Now, let me put this to you. Some of the reasons I know, or rather I think, that could be the factors that could lead to divorce, especially here abroad. Number one, when a woman feels she now has control of herself, you know how it is back home. When you're married, some men feel because they have married you, they now own you. You're like a property, a piece of furniture. They leave you in the house, they go outside, they gallivant, they do whatever they like. They come back to you when they like. There is no emotional attachment. There is no empathy towards you from them. They have no feelings whatsoever. You have been married, so you just stay at home, raise kids, perform your function in the bedroom, and that is it. Like, you don't even have a say. And then these same women cross how many thousand miles to come abroad, and they begin to see that life here is different from what they know back there. They begin to see that, man, wow, so women can actually breathe some fresh air. They begin to see that, wow, so women are actually, you know, they are humans too. They can be treated like human beings. They can be loved. They can be adored. They now start looking at you, who brought them from there. They start looking at you from a different perspective. They're like, So how have you been treating me all this while? Like, really? So you mean people can show affection like this? You mean women can feel this way and I've not been getting it back home? That is how one of the problems starts to arise. Secondly, when people feel they are carrying most of the burdens, like abroad here, unless you are very, very, very rich as a man, that is when you will place your wife on monthly salary. You tell her to sit at home and be a full-time housewife, and you are giving her money regularly. Oh, hey, unless you are very, very wealthy, which is not so common. So as an immigrant, you come here, definitely the idea of working is open. You will have to work, your wife will have to work. Now she's working. She's seeing this little change that you were not giving her before. Okay, tick. She's fine with that. Secondly, she is working. And then she comes back from work and still has to do some house chores. Because these house chores cannot be done by any other person. There is no housemaid here. We don't have support system here. There is no family to help you do anything in the house. So it's you have to do most of these things. And then while she's doing that, she still has to look after the kids. So imagine the level of stress she has to deal with. She's tired. She's depressed. Probably her workplace is toxic because a lot of workplaces here, they will drive you crazy. And then she will have to come home and still deal with the level of stress at home. Tell me how that kind of person can be happy in a home. Tell me how that kind of person can be relaxed. Like, she won't be herself. It's not going to be easy normally. So in a situation like this, where the woman cannot manage these situations very well, it will start to bring up frictions in the marriage. And by the time they argue once, argue twice about these issues in the home, if care is not taken, it could lead to divorce. It could lead to separation first, which leads to divorce. Problems, loopholes starts coming up in the marriage. And that's one other aspect. That's one other aspect. So this idea of divorce, the thing is that a lot of people don't really ask questions. What led to it? We are always very fast to jump into the conclusion that, oh, she left because she wants to see outside. She wants to see the outside world. Oh, she left because she can't stay anymore. Oh, she left before. But these days, people are living and they don't actually care what society says. That's one thing I've even discovered. A lot of people that even live these days, they don't care what you think about them. They don't care what you conclude about them. They are actually saying they're after their peace of mind. They are actually saying, you know what? You can stay there and keep talking about me while I move on with my life and I find peace. A lot of people are even walking out irrespective of the fact of whether they've had kids with this man, whether they've had children, whether the children are grown up. They don't really care. They're after their peace of mind. Because in the first place, when you lack peace of mind, see, there's some things money cannot buy. No matter how rich you are, if you're not happy within yourself, if you don't have peace of mind within yourself, your health will still suffer. Your mental health will suffer. So people are beginning to go for their peace of mind these days. Not for money. Not necessarily for money. Because sometimes when you see some of these people that are divorcing, you are like, but what went wrong? After all, this man is rich. After all, they look happy together. After all, they look good together. So it's always good to hear from both sides. What went wrong? How? What really happened to make this person take this bold step? Because it's a bold step. It's not easy to just wake up and say, I want a divorce. Something must really be backing you, for you to make that declaration. So when it comes to the issue of divorce, especially among the Africans, be you back home or abroad, when you hear someone is divorcing, do not rush into conclusion to judge the person. If you have a way of listening to both parties, fine. If you don't have a way of listening to both parties, just listen to whoever you want to listen to and have an open mind. Don't just assume or come to the conclusion, oh yeah, this one happened because that's what she wanted or because that's what he wanted. Have an open mind towards this issue of divorce. People are going through a lot of things. You may not know unless you are there. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.